Welcome, everyone, to episode 15 of the official podcast for Guardian 1, a Destiny group dedicated to the prosperity of Guardians everywhere. We broadcast live Thursdays at 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I am joined by River.
What is up, fools?
Crimson Warlock. I'm always late, and I'm late right now. Jez.
Crota, we have your number. It's 867-5309.
Yeah. And Agrios and Dendros.
Greetings, Guardians.
We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
All right, Guardians, thanks for listening in on the podcast, however it is that you choose to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G1NET. And just a reminder, the Twitter account is the only instance where we use the number 1. So again, that's G, the number 1, and ET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. You can also send us feedback at our email, feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Bungie.net forums group that's currently at 112 members. If you want to join, just search for the group name Guardian 1. We also have our own clan, so if you want to join the Guardian 1 clan, just select the buttons that say set as PlayStation Clan or set as Xbox Clan after you join the group. We utilize the forums for comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. We do appreciate you guys coming along. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. And if you can't catch the live show, you can always go to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at guardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all the different podcasts that's part of the network, including the flagship podcast, Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardian Radio. The rest of the podcast lineup include Warlock School, which is the comedy Destiny podcast that's for our mature listeners. There's also the DoD podcast featuring the Dads of Destiny. TTL Party Chat, which is hosted by the Tired the Leader clan, of which Bungie's community manager Deej is a member. TTL isn't Destiny exclusive, but it is a great way to get insight into the different nuances involved with running a large clan across many different games and platforms. And finally, you can tune into Ghost and Echoes, which is the fan-made audio drama produced by Craig Hardgrove of Guardian Radio. That's all for housekeeping. Start us up, Remy.
I like it. There's so much to talk about. There's still so much to talk about with Destiny. Like, everybody's in a certain part of their lives in Destiny, you know, and I see the end. It's near. I'm 29 and a half on my main character, and I feel it. I only need 2 more pieces of gear to get to 30, and then I will be able to say I've made it, you know, and there's new DLC on the way that will raise this level to 32, and I already feel like the crawl for that one. But I have to say that Destiny feels like it was meant for a player like me who doesn't get to play nearly as much as they want to. Like, I see a lot of people in the community, and they They're already there. They're there and they're done. I think we might actually have one on our group right now. Jez, are you there? Are you at the point in your Destiny career where you are currently saying what's next, and you're just waiting until December 9th, or do you still have hurdles in front of you? Do you still have goals?
Well, I'm always thinking about what's next, but I have two of my characters that can be level 30. They just need XP and all the crazy materials to get to 30. But I'll always be looking for the next legendary arc fusion rifle or void fusion rifle just to have on hand for the next raid.
Interesting. So there's still. What is the very next thing that you'd love to have right now? Like if you could just log on and know that at the end of your play session that this was going to be in your possession, what would that be?
Probably Praedyth's Revenge. I still haven't got that from the
Are you
raid.
serious?
I did get Praetorian Foil, the solar fusion rifle, which is going to be nice because of Hive Wizards do have a solar shield, so that should be used in the raid. But I do need more diversification on my arc stuff.
Interesting. That's actually probably the most rare piece of equipment in my mind right now is that foil, because it's the one I've seen least on social media. Like I've seen people with them at the class, like they're everywhere. Same thing with Athean Zepilog. People have these, and that foil is probably the one thing that I've seen the least of. But also, I wanted to say that on the raid last week, I picked up Vision of Confluence, and it is so awesome. Like it is and Jez, you were going on and on about it, and it's a full auto scout rifle with solar damage, and it is insane. Like it cuts through enemies with a solar shield. Like I think it just continues to do the same amount of damage to them once the shield has been cut away. Like they just melt like butter.
I should note with that, you might want to keep pulling on it like a normal scout rifle because sometimes it does jam.
I noticed that.
That's a lore way of saying that sometimes it's bugged.
I think that I was going to ask you about this because I noticed that as well. Sometimes I'm holding it down and it stops firing, and I think my battery is dead in the controller. Like I'm about to just die at the hands of these bad guys because my Guardian's got no one at the wheel. But yeah, it does jam. So is that a bug or is that a feature?
That's most likely a bug. It happens with all the things that aren't supposed to be full auto that are sometimes full auto. They sometimes just don't work the way they should.
Interesting. Yeah, sometimes I actually forget that it's full auto, and I just use it as a regular scout rifle, because I really enjoy scout rifles. But yeah, so that's, I don't know. I wanted that, but not as much as I wanted Athean's Epilogue. I'm still looking forward to that. But like you were saying, I need to round out my my damage types, my elemental damage types. What about you, River? Like, where are you in the game? Where is your place? Like, what level are you? What piece of gear are you would just love to log in and get right now? Like, just hands down, this is what you're looking for.
Well, right now I'm sitting at level 28. I have yet to complete the raid fully. I'm still pretty much in the same spot right now. I did finally discover that this legendary sniper rifle I had actually has the Oracle Disruptor on it. I had no idea until I finally unlocked it. Like I was just kind of getting the experience for it, not really upgrading anything.
Uh-huh.
And whenever I saw that, the green plus sign, I was like, oh man, I wonder what unlocked this time. I'm just gonna go check it out. And lo and behold, it says Oracle Disruptor. I was like, oh shit. I had no idea.
That's awesome.
So I'm really just yeah, go ahead.
That's actually the sniper rifle that Jez can't get his hands on. that
I'm
I have
Jez.
3 of.
Jeez. So I'm really just upgrading my stuff right now until maybe SDF will do another another raid run, and I'm not really. I mean, I don't have any other raid gear. I don't have any raid armor or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
So, really, just upgrading stuff and waiting to. The next step would be to finally fully complete the raid.
Yeah, that's a big deal. How far?
Mhm.
How close have you come?
We got the Atheon, and I think we got him down to half life.
And then
Half-Life
was it time that gave way? Like you just had to stop playing?
Yeah. Eventually, it just started getting way too late, and we just weren't getting. I mean, we got him down to half of his health one time, and we just couldn't get that crap back there again. And so we just quit, and we were gonna pick it up again, but real life kind of happens.
What did your team look like? Was it a bunch of 27s and 28s?
Oh no, I mean we had. What do we have? I think we had 127. Maybe, including myself, maybe like 3 28s. I know we had a 29. I know we had 129 and 130. Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Gotcha.
3 of us actually play regularly together, and the other 3 are kind of buddies of SDF Lawn Boy. And I've only played with these guys a couple times, so it's not like we're a tight-knit group as
Yeah.
it is. But, we were just trying it out, really. Came
Yeah.
so close.
Yeah,
That's what we're at.
I think it wasn't until the third time that I tried until we made it through, until we had a group that just worked really well. So what kind of time frame are we talking here? Was this like 4 hours? Was this like 2 hours? Like you made it to Atheon quick and then
Jeez. Let's see. It was after the podcast, and I think we stayed up until. So it was probably like 4 hours. It was probably like a 4-hour play session until we just quit.
PlayStation.
Yeah, shut up, you. Shut up, you.
I mean, I totally don't play on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 times that we didn't make it through, it was 4 hours, and then the third time I think we did make it through, that was 3 hours, and then the next time that we made it through, it was 2 hours. So
Mhm.
it really, just knowing where to stand and what is important to shoot, and you know what, and really level does play a huge part in it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel way more comfortable going through it at 29 than I did at 28. 28, it just felt like a wave, overwhelming.
Well, I'm really thinking about just upgrading all the non-raid gear that I have just to get to 29, just so that I'll have that level and have more survivability going into the
Totally.
raid.
Absolutely, and that's actually something that I did, and I know that other people were much more interested in saving their shards for the raid gear that they may or may not get, and I just decided that it was more important to be able to handle the situations as they showed up than it was for me to, like I might not ever get another piece of raid gear. You were saying
You're
it's
not the only one, right?
right, exactly. So I just went all the way, right to 29. Like it just gives you so much of an advantage, and by advantage I mean it's an equalizer. Very very important. But I mean, some people are Picassos at this. Some people are, very very skilled in first person shooters in general, and Destiny specifically. So I don't ever, like if I see somebody running around as a 27 or they want to go through the raid with me as a 27, go for it. Like this is your personal goal. Let's do it. Happy to let you do that. But for me, I'm going to play it safe. I buffed all my armor up. So
Awesome. Thank you for confirming that for me. This is going to be a good decision, I think.
And what piece of gear are you just dying to have? Like, do you just have to have right now, or are you
Nothing
happy
really.
with your
I mean,
setup? Like, what are you using right now?
Right now I'm using Thorn. I really love the way that handles. And I know it's not really like the best weapon, but for some reason it really helps with my play style. Like the way I play, I feel like I take full advantage of that weapon. And I almost have it maxed out. I mean, I got all the experience, but I hadn't put in all the material yet. I got like two plate spots left. So in the Crucible, it's pretty much maxed out, and I'm working on the last word now just to try that out because That's the one hand cannon I really wanted was the last word. So I'm excited to try that out.
And how did you get that?
It was an exotic drop during a Nightfall.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, I know.
I haven't
so
seen
excited.
anything. Oh, you know what? I think I've only done one Nightfall.
Dude, I was cheering. I was cheering and like dancing.
I
I
bet.
scared the baby. I didn't mean to scare you, young one. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Cool. Crimson Warlock. We are discussing where we are in Destiny right now. Like where it is. Like what is your character level? What pieces of gear are you looking for? Like what is your current hurdle in Destiny? What is your current goal?
I am currently looking for my raid chest piece and boots. Then I can start doing hard mode and be level 30. And that's kind of my hurdle right now. I ran the raid last week on my Titan, and I got the Vision of Confluence.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh, is that a sweet gun?
So
That
sweet.
is seriously like my favorite gun right now, especially for a Titan. Just because I feel like a scout rifle is a Titan's gun.
Interesting.
Like it just works for a Titan for me. I just feel like that's what goes with the Titan. So yeah, I raided earlier this week on my Warlock, and I got 12 shards and 2 energies.
Ouch.
It was a great run. I loved it. So yeah, I'm just waiting for those gear pieces to drop, and then I will be 30. And then I'll be trying to get hard mode done to get my helmet. I really want that speeder, the Sparrow, and I also want the hand
Blast.
cannon from. Well, I want that obviously, but the hand cannon's much easier to get. Is it the Fatebringer? Is that
Yeah,
what it's called?
Fatebringer.
Yeah, that's what I want as well. I kind of just want all those primaries that have the element on them. So I still need an Atheon's Epilogue as well.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one too. I so want the ship from the raid. Like that ship looks so awesome. You know what? Real quick, does anybody know how to get those Halloween sparrows? Have they discussed that yet? Because I see a lot of people questioning it, but I haven't seen anybody with an answer. So, does anybody on our panel know how to get those flame-colored sparrows?
Best guess, Zer tomorrow.
Best guess
Yeah.
what?
I would
Is
guess.
Zer tomorrow?
What
You
is
know
that?
Zer.
Zer.
Oh, you think that he's going to be selling them tomorrow? This changes everything. That is a crazy thought. What does the rest of the panel think of this? What's that?
Possibly as an upgrade to a normal sparrow. So I'm not sure whether they would be unique sparrows or they would be like his other upgrades and change your sparrow into one of those.
Man, that's a really good question. Jez, is that how you think it's going to work too? An upgrade or just straight up a new sparrow?
It could be either, or even just a limited buff that changes it, which would be very weak.
Like the Jacko-Light.
Yeah. Like, they might be like, oh, we don't want Halloween things happening all year round, so we're not going to give it to you for good. No, that would be fun. That would not be good.
They're not exactly Halloween, so hopefully they don't hold them to that.
Although, everyone's going to want the black and orange one.
So what colors are there? There's the black and orange. There's the white one, right? I actually am very interested in that white one.
White and orange, and then there's a green and orange, which, that's an eyesore.
That's the one I want.
You want the green and orange one?
Hell yeah.
I kind of want that one too, to be honest.
And I think that's... And maybe
I
a
thought there
blue
was
and
like
orange.
a blue and red one.
Yeah,
I want
well.
people's eyes to bleed as I drive past.
What about you, River?
How else are we supposed to be the Ghost Rider without our Jackalites and our speeders, right?
Do you have one in mind, River? Or are you going to pass up these flame-covered sparrows?
I could really care less.
about upgrades in general, or that specific one?
That specific one. I could really care less at this point right now. I got other stuff I really want to work on, and Sparrows is just really not not really the thing for me right now. I mean, I don't see him that often.
Yeah.
I think the green and orange one's called Dragon Rider, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that sounds
That's
right.
a pretty cool name. I admit that.
Everyone was confused because the black and orange one is called Nightfall.
Right, confusion ensues. So, Agrios, why don't you tell us where you are in Destiny? You know, what is your current level? You know, are you currently seeking a specific piece of gear, or because me this last weekend when Zur showed up, he had that Suros regime. I bought one on the PlayStation and the Xbox because I love the look of it from the way it looked in videos. I loved the way it played, and then when I got it, it just felt so good. Suros Regime is such an amazing tool. Like, I love it. But then right after that, I picked up that Vision of Confluence, and so now the one on my PlayStation just sits unused. And really, I've kind of lost the drive. Like I would love that Mythoclast. I would love that Atheon's Epilogue. But once I got that Vision of Confluence, it's really a solid weapon. And then, you know, Jez gave his super stamp of approval last weekend. And then when I got it, I was like, man, I can't wait to talk about this because Jez is right. This is a great weapon. So where are you, Agrios? Like, tell us your story.
Well, I mainly have been piloting my my level 28 Warlock around. I've been one of the holdouts that's been sitting on like 60 shards and not leveling up to 29 because I know the moment I do up, that's the raid piece that I'm gonna pull next. I haven't managed to get a single raid piece, so I'm one of the holdouts.
Man, wouldn't it be? What's that? Continue.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, wouldn't it be crazy if you didn't start getting them until you hit 29? But we know, you know, my friend was 27 and he got 2 raid pieces in that one raid, so that's not a thing.
The Lobies always seem to get all the good gear, so what's the incentive to level up? I know it's supposed to be random, but so many raids we're on, the guy sitting at 27 pulls like a full set or whatever.
Right.
And,
so yeah.
Jealous of your Vision of Confluence because I am by far the scout rifle lover. I've been in love with my Might of multi-tool since I pulled it, and I definitely want to pull that Vision of Confluence.
Yeah, it's sweet. Super sweet.
It is a very awesome gun.
And so that's what your current goal is just some raid pieces and that Vision of Confluence specifically.
Yeah. Well, my main idea was I have 2 other characters, but they're both a hunter and a titan, and they're both low still. My goal was, okay, I want to get one character maxed out and awesome, and then I'll work on my secondaries. Well, that hasn't been working out for me too well because I've just been sitting here on this level 28 Warlock for way too long. And the raid gear would be huge on that, but I'm about to just get the rest of my characters up to speed and increase my chances of getting anything across the board.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I got to do. That's what you got to do. You got to get it done. Awesome. Well, cool. Well, it's very cool to see where everybody is. And as time goes on, you know, our stories are going to come together. Like, I have a feeling that we're all going to be sitting at 30 right before December 9th. And so it'll be very interesting to see where everything goes from there.
I sure hope I'm 30 by then, man.
That's what I would
I'm
hope
30.
too.
I'm
like,
praying that in Jesus.
I'm like, not at this rate. Not at the rate I'm going. I'm probably be 29 by then, I guess. 30.
Oh, you've got what? 5 more chances?
Yeah, is it 5?
Well,
I have a
or
feeling I
more
might
if
miss
you-
out on this week.
or more if you get drug through a hard mode because you get both drops at once.
Man, that's hard mode.
Man,
Look at this
that's
guy.
what
I hadn't even
I do.
completed the raid, and he's like, no, hard mode.
Well, that's why he said drug through hard mode.
Like, I went through hard mode on a 29 just recently. Like, this is the first time I've ever done it on a non-30, and it was so bad. It's so hard for me to do anything. It's like, this thing's not going down. What's wrong with me? I can't do anything. It's just debilitating because it's like 30% reduction in your damage. It's horrible.
That's crazy.
Well,
That's
dipping
crazy.
into the news a little bit here, we will potentially have the chance to be able to get some raid equivalent gear from the Iron Banner if that premieres before December 9th, which I'm figuring it probably will.
Oh yeah, November's prime for something.
So they said it's raid equivalent?
Yeah, you'll be able to get to level 30 light using the gear that you will be able to get through the Iron Banner.
Randomly, right?
No, I mean, I'd have to look here to be specific, but I got the impression that it would be what Lord Saladin would be selling for, being in the right rank.
And was he selling armor last time?
One piece.
I believe, yeah, he was selling like one thing.
He had Warlock arm pieces, but they were just equal to normal legendary status arm pieces. You couldn't get to level 30 light using them.
Ah,
They
gotcha.
were side grade for non-raid gear, whereas they want it to be side grades for people who are completely leveled up, because obviously once you're at 30, you're not going to want to take a piece of armor that's going to lower your light level. So I think that's where they were going with that.
Interesting.
I think a lot of people will kind of disagree with that. It's like you're getting this raid equipment, and it's great that it's trying to push you. If you're a big PvP player, it's trying to push you in to go try out the raid or something like that. But I feel like it's different whenever you're putting all this time into a raid, trying to get this awesome raid gear to get you to 30, and then you have these guys who are just playing PvP, and then they get their gear just from playing PvP. That's giving them access to something you're working your rear off to try to get. I at least am observing within the community some apprehension to this sort of thing. Like maybe they should have it to where level 30 would be, if you have the PvP gear, be more effective like in the Iron Banner. Have some stuff in it that's specific to PvP, and keep the raid gear and the PvE area as like some PvE stuff.
Now, if I understand correctly, they're only going to have the armor available in 2 slots. So you can't get to 30 only using the Iron Banner gear, but you can use the Iron Banner gear to work your way to 30. There's still going to be one piece for your class that's not going to be provided by the Iron Banner, that you would still have to get that piece through the raid to actually attain 30.
Interesting.
I do have 2 points to say about it though. One, that yeah, it's gonna raise your level, so you're also gonna be more effective in the Iron Banner, the new and improved Iron Banner. But 2, anything to make my character look less like every other guy that's got the 30 with all the raid gear is a-okay in my opinion.
So you think that there's going to be less people gaining it from the Iron Banner than there is from the raid itself?
Well, it's a little bit of a confirmation bias, because most of the people that I see are like 29, 30 anyways, so they're all wearing the raid gear, so everyone looks the same.
Uh-huh.
And that's just because of the type of crew that I hang around with, so it's more so that I look different from everyone else that I'm hanging around with.
Gotcha.
So, like, maybe you'll see no backup plans, or you'll see Helm of Saint 14 on a Titan, but every other piece looks like the same gear that everyone else is wearing at
Yeah.
that max level. It's a little disheartening to make everyone not look unique, but
It is odd. There seems more variety in the way lower characters look than the highest level characters. Where
Oh, yeah.
that's usually the opposite in a lot of other games.
I've actually started collecting the Tengu Operate set on my Warlock just because it looks better.
set I collect too!
Yeah. What number though? 'Cause
Oh,
there's,
I
there's
haven't
there's
got enough of the
5.
pieces to only get this one specific number yet. I have a variety of ones that I like the looks of, but I think they're mixed numbers.
Yeah, there's like 5 sets, and the one I like the most is 5 or 6. It's like a bronze looking one.
I'm trying to collect the silver set.
But yeah, it's just they seem to have more variety with those ones, and there's so much more detail in half of them too. So it's kind of weird that everyone looks the same.
Yeah, that was one of my worries going into going into Destiny, I think I even mentioned it on one of the previous shows. I was worried that everybody was, they keep saying that they don't want any one thing to be the right weapon, but what about armor? Like I totally see everybody. Like I know the people who've gone through those times because they all look exactly the same. They're all wearing exactly the same pieces of armor, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating to think that, like, I want those because I want the number associated with it, but I really thought that there was going to be some kind of customization beyond, like, picking which shade of Easter colors I want my Guardian to be dressed in. Like, I really felt that there was going to be more variety, a lot more variety. And it's sad to see that if you want to be level 30, you get basically one thing that might be a little different than other people as far as the exotic goes, but I don't know.
Now, before I say this, Bungie, turn off your ears. So, back in the beta, there was some data mined info of like a second raid set for the same raid that was just named slightly different. Like instead of Gloves of the Hezen Lord, it was like Vambraces of the Hezen Lord. And it was, the actual model was blue instead of the yellow. So it kind of looked like the Vex that you see on Mars, actually, because they're blue. But it almost seemed like that was going to be a hard mode drop or something, just because usually in games, hard modes have either better looking drops or more powerful drops. So, like, if I was to bet back in the beta, those would have gotten you to 30, while the normal ones would just get you to 28 or something, but that's obviously all wrong now.
Interesting.
So, back when in the beta, I was like, oh, so that's interesting. We're going to have two different sets so that we can... not everyone's going to look the same, because everyone's going to be a mixed match of all the two different raid sets, at least, because there's no high-end equivalent of non-raid gear.
Yeah.
And see, that's where I would hope that we might eventually get a system that lets us raise the light level on our gear to make it comparable to the highest light level. Be able to use an item that increases the light level on the Vex raid set, so that hits 32 just as well as the Hive one will in the expansion. Like, that's something I'd like to see, because then it doesn't trivialize that set anymore either. It's something that you can carry with you throughout the entire lifespan of the game.
That's very interesting. In the last little reveal of some of the information they found out on a Planet Destiny article, I believe, they were mentioning some things like exotic weapon or armor shards. But nobody knows really what exactly they'd be used for. But some speculation is to say take a blue item or something, or a legendary item, and upgrade it to exotic status and add some sort of ability to it.
Interesting.
I think specifically there was something that they were adding that was like Vex armor shard or something. Like it had Vex in the title, which would be odd for a Hive raid.
Agreed.
Well, Vex Armor Shard sounds like a key item to me, really.
Or it could be that they're implementing a token system finally, which is something that we need to come back to RNG.
Vex raid rare. That's what it was.
But
So, yeah.
I want to point out to Agrios, because he was mentioning about the upgrading system. I actually wrote an article on Bungie.net about that. And so I really hope that they do something like that, because then I'd be right.
Totally. Well, you actually are kind of right already, because I bought that plasma drive for a rare speeder. I bought that white speeder because I thought that thing looked sweet. And I bought the blue plasma drive. And when you use that, it turns your rare speeder into a legendary speeder. And so in a way, you actually did call it. There is a way to raise the level on this. It just wasn't for a weapon. It happened to be for this. And that's actually the single point that I keep coming back to when I think about what Destiny is and what it could be and what it should be. Like I keep coming back to the fact that it wasn't listed on the Sparrow itself. Like it didn't say, there wasn't a slot for a plasma drive. It didn't say, oh, upgrade this with a plasma drive from Zur. It just showed up one day. This plasma drive showed up one day, and you were able to use it. You know, you purchase this thing. It comes into as an item in your equipment, and then when you use it, it upgrades your rare Sparrow into a legendary one. And so this could be the gateway to so much other stuff. Like one of my very favorite abilities on these weapons is focused fire, which is it fires fast at hip, but then it slows down through aim down sights, but it also does more damage. And I am thinking that we could almost be looking at something where you could just purchase or find like a focused fire or, you know, a third eye option, and then you could just use it on a weapon that you have equipped in your inventory. Like, what if this adds this specific option to a weapon that didn't have that, you know, for it? Like, I
or
think
replaces one.
Exactly. It places the option in the list, like, or like even with a site. My very favorite site is that red.oes. Like that is such a sweet site, but it doesn't come on every weapon. And I would add it to certain things if I just had that. And I think this is crazy talk, you know, but it's possible because because of this plasma drive, and that's exciting to me. You know, like
I'll probably have to touch on this when Agrios gets further down his list of news items.
but
Foreshadowing.
well then why don't we move on and see what else we got in store. Agrios.
Okay. Well, we're having a bit of a talk there already about Zur. So let's just start with him. Last week he was back again. He appeared in the Hall of Guardians near the Vanguard Mentors. As you mentioned before, he had that Soros regime. I definitely picked one up. I was one strange coin short the first time it was around, and played all night trying to get one more strange coin, all the possible ways you can get one, and just didn't manage to get one. But I definitely picked it up this time.
I actually
Anything
got
else?
that from a just wanted to say I actually got that from a Crucible drop the day before.
Oh man, that's funny and crazy. Well, you got to save your coins. Would you
Yeah, I
have
sure
bought
did.
it?
Probably not, but it's good to have for free.
Imagine if it
Anyways.
was the day after.
Anyways,
Is that what happened to you, Jez?
No, I've not had to worry about that yet.
Agrios.
Also from him this week, he had a repeat of the Armamentarium for the Titan. He had the Crest of Alpha Lupi, which I believe he had at some point in the past for the Hunter. Is that the first time that premiered, or had that been up there before?
that was the first time I think.
I
was
could
Because he had
easily
that
find out.
he had that blackberry armor piece of crap that I didn't bother buying because it looks like
Lucky
crap.
Raspberry.
There we go. That looks like crap.
And it's got a
then-
lame name too.
It's got a lame name. Yeah.
And for the Warlocks, we had the Void Fang Vestments. That's the second time they've been up there. I unlike you, I wasn't lucky enough to get my Void Fang Vestments. I played Void Fang Vestments the day after I bought them from Zur last time he had them in the Nightfall.
Man.
And so I blew my coins on that. But interestingly enough, the ones I picked up from the Nightfall had significantly better buff. Most of the ones, it seems, that you get outside of purchasing from Zur, that you get from engrams and such, tend to have better bonuses than the ones Zur has been selling. My Void Fang Vestments that I got from the Nightfall ultimately ended up with plus 132 strength, and that was over 20 above what my Void Fang Vestments I bought from Zur had.
Gotcha.
And
I can confirm that this was the first time he ever sold that for the Hunters.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And then also, as Remy mentioned before, he picked up the blue plasma drive that Zur is offering this week, while I picked up the emerald coil for the Sparrow upgrades.
I hope that Bungie's listening right now because I have a big problem with that. Like that plasma drive just says plasma drive, and then it says this, updates upgrades the speed and the durability. But then the Emerald Coil had it actually has a description of it says what it does. Like I was worried that I wasn't going to get the same thing because it didn't have the same little color. It said this upgrades. It's just different, and it was upsetting. And it's text. It's freaking text. Get it right, people. All right, moving on.
I had the same thought, to be honest. I
Did
read
you?
those both, and I thought I figured out what it truly meant, like you figured out what it truly meant, but it was definitely misleading and concerning. You felt unsure what you were actually going to buy if you got that item.
Totally.
Just because of the way it was relative to how they described the other items of the same sort.
Absolutely, and it's text. Like I understand that some bugs have to be dealt with in time. This is text.
Yeah, they really should have normal text saying exactly what it does, and then just replace red with blue or whatever, and then have the flavor text underneath of it in italics like every other thing.
Right? So you
Oh,
noticed
no,
this
man.
too then.
Well, it's only flavor text, but see, I never thought about picking one up just because it looked like it was just going to change the color of it.
Yeah. What were you saying, River?
I was just gonna say that I kind of like the air of mystery surrounding that sort of thing, because then we have good stories like this. Where it's like, man, I was really unsure, but now I'm really glad that I did something like that, and now I know. You're a pioneer, sir. Thank you very much.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll accept it.
Yeah, see?
Also in the game this week, the weekly heroic and Nightfall is the Nexus. The weekly itself contains Voidburn and Epic. The Nightfall is Voidburn, Angry, Juggler, Epic, and of course Nightfall. It was
Yay,
amazing.
no light
solo.
switch.
It was amazingly soloed in under 5 minutes and 54 seconds by YouTuber iPingy1. And it's quite an amazing performance, having been someone who's gone through the weekly heroic. I haven't done the Nightfall, but the weekly heroic was rough enough at 28.
Man, that's crazy. 5 minutes and 44 seconds?
Yeah, 54 seconds. 5 minutes, 54 seconds. But yeah, either way, that's still crazy.
Oh my god.
There is a link to his YouTube video I posted in the comments.
Thank you.
I do have to say, normally Nightfalls are easier just because of the burn.
I've noticed that too.
I don't
I've noticed-
always agree with that. I don't know. A lot of people say that, but I don't think I've come across a Nightfall yet that I felt was easier for me than soloing the weekly. Like, I soloed a couple Nightfalls, and I soloed most of the weekly heroics at 28 at this point. But,
Well, you've got Vision of Confluence now, right?
nope.
Oh, no. Oh, when you get Vision of Confluence, or, well, practically any of the other primary raid gear, and you get the Nightfall with that particular type of burn on it, you'll see how different it is, especially if the weekly doesn't have the burn on it.
Right, like Dado was saying this, I saw one of Dado's videos, and he had that Athean's epilogue, and it looked like it was easier than the regular, than if there was no burn there, but it's like doubling down. They do that similar damage back to you. So if you're on top of it and you're just sitting back and letting everything come to you, I could see it being real easy. But 5 minutes and 44 seconds, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is quite impressive.
And it almost seems like for those who've gone above and beyond, it's a weird synergy to think that if you go and do this higher level raid, this much harder content, then you're given these tools that help you take down these other high end content. Like it's exciting, and I'm so happy to have Vision of Confluence. I cannot wait for a solar burn Nightfall. I'm just going to own it, and it's going to be awesome. Continue.
Can
And
I
I just-
add something really fast before we move on?
Yeah.
I am just to talking about like content, like can we not have a daily with Cabal and Angry, please? Like those phalanxes
Oh,
have
yeah.
the smallest hitbox ever, and unless you have someone else, they take forever to take down because you can't flank them if it's just by yourself. At least I
Shoot
feel
them
that
in the
way. I'm
foot.
so sick of like always having Angry modifier when we're fighting Cabal.
Yeah, shoot them in
Anyway,
the foot.
that's my 2 cents.
Right. It
That's-
almost seems like they don't even drop you their shields, even when you hit them in that hitbox. It
Well,
seems like
when they have angry, they don't flinch, so they don't open up.
Right.
Nobody does, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you're always going to have to aim at the foot or the arm,
We're
and
flanking.
There you go.
or sometimes the head if you're good, like if you got a good angle on them. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so moving on. Actually, I wanted to make a small correction there. I did say that the weekly had Voidburn and Epic. Actually, it's Voidburn and Heroic, as pointed out by Mo Mylon in comments.
Thanks, Momo.
And so, moving on, we have the last week's weekly update, and it was mainly themed around the return of the Iron Lords. Deej had a discussion with lead designer Tyson Green, who explained that they've learned a lot from the past few weeks, and although we won't be seeing the Queen's Wrath for a while, as according to them it'll be going back in the oven for a bit, on the other hand, we will be seeing the Iron Banner make a return, and with a brand new plan promising us that powers matter more. And they believe they've been too conservative, and there's going to be a much more dramatic difference between players of wide variation in level. It's also going to require a fire team leader to be of at least 20 to go into the new event. There's
cool.
a number of other things they're changing around the structure of the event. For instance, to try to reduce the number of quitters, players will now receive a medallion of iron upon unloss. When they get their next win, each medallion will convert to a reputation gain almost equal to a win. So this is kind of an interesting system. It still requires players to eventually win, but their losses aren't completely rewardless.
I like
What do you
that.
feel about this?
I like that. I think that it's an interesting trade, but really the bottom line is they need people to not quit. Like they really need people to stay in the game, because I don't know, I would just be pissed off if I was trying, and I'm not a quitter. Like I won't quit out if I think that the team is losing. Because it sucks to leave one person behind. Like my KD took a serious hit during this section of playing Halo Reach, where I just kept, like, the people just kept quitting out on me, and I don't know, it's just horrible. So they had to find a way to keep people in there. And me personally, like, I will sometimes hit losing streaks where it's like, even if I go positive KD, it doesn't matter because the other people on my team suck. So I know that, like, I try and keep playing until I win a game, and this specific solution works so well for me, because that would be great. Like, it wouldn't even be a horrible thing. Like, okay, I lost. I got this medallion that's almost as good as a win. Like, it will keep me playing until I get to a win. And I feel like that landing point is a great way to have solved this. I'd like to hear other people's opinions on this.
I'm a bit concerned that this is going to negate the rewards of victory. I mean, even as the worst player in the world, you're eventually going to land yourself on a team of 5 excellent players and win a match. And if at that point it redeems all of the coins in your inventory into reputation almost equal to a win, doesn't that turn the rewards from the Iron Banner just simply into participation prizes?
It depends on what they mean by almost.
They could still cap how many you can have, so that you be like, well, I can only get a max of 5, so I'm at most going to get 5 almost wins, even if I play 20 games and then finally win one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be 75%. Maybe you'll get 75% reputation. And with enough of the medallions of iron, that gap will widen significantly. So we really don't know. We'll just have to wait until Iron Banner comes out.
I wish
I'm
we
excited
had
for.
I wish we had more numbers. Like there was something released about the statistics of what class wins the most and the least in the Crucible, and it was like the Hunters took both of the top spots and Titan took both of the bottom spots. But what I'm curious to know is how many people are playing each of those in there. You know, like, because I doubt that it's an equal amount of Titans, Hunters, and Warlocks going in. I'm
point.
curious to know where the correlation is between how many people are there and how many people are choosing what in addition to that. Because I think that will give us a different picture. But
Probably. I think Hunter's probably the most played class, isn't it?
is it?
It's got, I
I
think so.
they
That's
were-
what I heard.
I think they were saying that it's fairly even. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
30, 30, 40 or something like that. And
Interesting.
Like-
40 would be the Hunters, but yeah, like
34,
The-
33, 33.
no, it's not that close. It's still a lead in Hunters, and then Warlocks, and then finally Titans. But
Mhm.
I'll have to wonder if maybe that the mindset of someone that's going to go play PvP is likely the person that's going to be playing a Hunter too.
You know what? I was thinking about that as well. Hunters are mean. So
Thank you.
the way that I've been playing Destiny is both on both the PlayStation and the Xbox. I'm playing both sides of the Titan. But then on each of the PlayStation, Xbox, I'm playing one or the other for the Hunter and the Warlock, and the Warlocks are a lot of fun, and the Sunsinger is crazy fun. But Hunters are mean. Hunters are very mean. Like their skill tree totally lends to just laying people out. Like I feel mean when I play my Hunter because I'm just dispatching people at a rate that's insane. The Blade Dancer specifically is insane. Is rough. And so I try and take those guys out as soon as I see them. I'll stop shooting a Titan to shoot a Hunter any day.
Are you able to take down a Blade Dancer by yourself?
I think that I've taken down one or two, but most of the time they get me.
I
think
just want to let everybody know that it is very possible to take down a Blade Dancer by yourself. I've done that several different times.
as a Blade
Please don't
Dancer.
get discouraged. No, I'm actually a gunslinger, but I don't use a super on it. Is what it is.
Titans
I-
do have a advantage over it too, but
Mhm.
not that many people run with
Everything's-
suppression grenade.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, everything's got a counter, so don't get discouraged if you see a Blade Dancer.
Man,
They're
that's
not as
suppression
OP
grenade
as you
is
think. I
Awesome.
promise you.
Tell that to the statistics we saw. Poor
You just need a little
poor
bit of
defender
skill.
Titans. Poor
and a little bit of
defender Titans. I am upset that the Ward of Dawn does not sustain a Nova Bomb. Like it doesn't even make sense. Why would you ever choose it if it's not this impenetrable? If it's not an actual shield, why would you ever go in there?
Like every super can counter another super, except the Titan bubble is
Mhm.
countered by practically everything.
Right?
You're right.
Right. I,
I mean,
feel
it
like
takes,
it's completely worthless.
It takes 2 shots of the golden gun to take it down, and then you still have 1 shot left to take out the Titan. So yeah, I
And-
can feel you on that one.
Strikers and Blade Dancers can go inside,
Mhm.
and Nova Bomb. The only one that really has an issue probably is Sunsinger.
Man, that's lame.
Yeah.
I'm done with that now.
Gotcha. Me too. Moving on.
Moving on. Next, they talked about the armor and weapons, which we touched on earlier in the show. The armor will be side grades or upgrades depending on who you are for your gear, your raid gear that's giving you up to level 30. The weapons will be viable side grades for all but the most advanced players, they say. They're going to expand the inventory, the available weapon types from 2 to 4. And have changed the drops for the match victory drop. They divide the drops on match victory and purchase from Lord Saladin in the tower. So Lord Saladin will be your source for the bounties as well. They decided that he was lonely back there. A number of changes are coming to the bounties. They are going to make them overall easier and more rewarding. I guess a lot of the bounties were going uncompleted for the first round of the Iron Banner, and they thought a change was necessary. Some really new features that are vastly different from what we have going already. They're going to bring in a new feature called reforging. They used the example of Timur's Lash, the hand cannon available for match victory in the Iron Banner, and each time it was awarded, it would have a different set of abilities on it. They thought that's what made it unique and exciting. Well, during the next Iron Banner, Lord Saladin will offer players the option of reforging any Iron Banner weapon, including those from the last event. This will reroll all of the upgrades, but will also reset any progression. The cost to reforge will be a small number of motes of light, and I think this is a pretty interesting change and perhaps foreshadowing of other interesting changes yet to come.
I agree.
Yes, I think that's definitely a test bed for them to try
So-
this out for future implementation.
Here comes my foreshadowing from earlier.
Awesome.
Make it happen to all weapons, not just the Iron Banner, because that would be so much better.
But see, I feel that exotic weapons should be excluded.
Well, maybe
Continue.
exotics you can. Well, exotics are like locked for all the
Yeah,
upgrade types.
because-
Right, that's what I was gonna
Because
say.
they're exotics.
yeah,
They're individual weapons that shouldn't be changed because, as far as lore, feel that they should stay the same. And people might disagree.
Well, I
More-
think that what we're looking at here is that they tell a story. You know, the Yellowhorn tells a story. Like I think that it could make sense that there might be different things for it, but I will go along with you, River, in that this is what this is, and as much as I'd like to see it for everything, like I think that we are only going to see it for this gear specifically, at least for a while. I've been thinking about the long game for Destiny, and I could see them having a trading system, and I could see them doing all these other things that they're not doing right now because it doesn't make sense right now. It's not something that has to be done in order for the game to work. So I think that yeah, you're right. This is like a test bed, and I think it's super exciting.
let's see. I actually agree. No, this won't go to exotics. I was just talking about all the legendary weapons that you can buy from vendors that
Mhm.
they have static perks if you buy them, but if you get them from the drop, they're completely random. I want those to be able to be re-rolled.
Yeah, I agree with
I feel like I've found an exotic that had two different stats. Like I feel like I've the blackberry, the boysenberry or whatever it is. Like I feel like, because I've come across two of those, and I'm pretty certain that the second one I got had different stats. Maybe not the little upgrade tree, but definitely in the intelligence
Yeah.
and strength discipline.
Those
Are those
Yeah.
different?
Yeah, those are.
Okay, so what do you think about that, River? What do you think about just being able to re-roll that specific aspect of a exotic?
Well, personally, I feel it's not needed because again, to me, it's just messing with the lore of the item. This is the single exotic item. There should be. I mean, it's not how it is, but there should be only like one of those items, and you should be able to only have one set of stats. But if it's already in there, I guess nothing I say is going to change that shit.
But yeah,
Well,
I
I mean,
honestly
here's
thought,
an example for you: the Heart of the Praxic Fire. The perks for that are to help Sunseer warlocks with their grenades, but the stat that's on them is strength. Like, that makes almost no sense because it's opposite of what the perk would be. I mean, you'd think you'd have discipline on it instead of strength.
But then you would balance that out with some of your other gear that you would have.
Which actually brings to my concern. I would much rather see this sort of reroll on armor than weapons any day. My passion lately has been trying to put together different sets of armor, like my intelligence discipline set, my intellect strength set, my discipline strength sets, for different purposes and to complement different exotics. And if you want a specific, like, I need gauntlets with intellect strength, I want to be able to reload a hand cannon, and I gotta have increased melee speed to make this build work. Well, you just can't find that, and you can't even work toward finding something like that because you just gotta hope and pray that a blue or purple engram drops one for you one day.
I agree with you. If I had a choice between the weapons reforging and the armor reforging, it would definitely be.
It'd definitely be what? I think I got cut off there.
Yeah, I was going
everybody
to ask.
silence for a second.
Okay, so I was just saying that if I had a choice between weapons and armor being reforged, it would be armor, hands down.
Oh,
I'm with you on that.
Do you guys think that if it's successful in the Iron Banner, that it might happen with the Dark Below and Eris, or whatever that NPC's name is?
No,
I don't think it'll come that soon.
no, yeah, exactly. Not that soon, if it does at all.
Maybe the House of Wolves.
Maybe not even after.
See-
Maybe after that.
my
Might just be
thing
a
is,
patch too. Like all of a sudden, hey, this Tuesday we get this.
Perfectly viable option.
my thing is, I don't think they would do it because I don't think they would lock that behind an expansion wall. That
I see
seems
what you're
something
saying.
very core, and Eris probably only shows up in specific expansion areas.
I see. I thought they said Eris was going to be in the tower.
Yeah, that's what I read too.
You probably
Yep.
are right.
See,
That's true.
I half feel that when the expansion drops, it's not just going to be expansion people that are going to experience changes in the game. I get the feeling that there's going to be kind of new stuff for everybody involved, just because it's a cohesive world and an interactive world. So I kind of feel like there's probably going to be changes for everybody with the expansions. Just the people that have the expansions are going to get so much more.
That
Right.
may and may not be true. I mean, I could see whenever you're going to the tower, those people that have the DLC would go to the same tower, and those who don't would go to the same tower.
I
So-
could see that, but what about when you're in a fire team with someone without the DLC and you go to the tower? Does that mean Eris won't be there for you?
Good point.
Well, I think
So-
that
Make a good point, sir.
I half expect that everybody will be able to talk to Eris, and Eris will just have different things to say to the people with expansions.
Good
Well,
point.
I feel like not only that, but specifically, like, how do you lock out people who just don't want to buy your additional content? Like, specifically, like, this is what I was talking about in one of the previous episodes, was when you look at this, so what people were buying Destiny for 3 months, you know, like, you've bought 3 months of Destiny for your $60, you know, like, give us another $20 or else you don't get more content. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't sit right with me. There has to be some level that upgrades for everybody, you know, because it doesn't make sense. Like, I want access to all that additional stuff, so I'm going to pay those dollars. But I don't think that everybody should have to pay for it for everything. Like, this should be a growing world for everybody, regardless of who bought the DLC, you know?
And everybody should have access to all the exclusive content, right?
Totally. I don't know why there is exclusive content.
Me either, man.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that that was it.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, like if they were patching something like, say, weapons, you know, say they were patching scout rifles because they felt that they were too powerful now because they've been buffed or whatever, it would be very horrible to go to the Crucible and fight someone who isn't at that upgrade point, who isn't affected by that patch, and their scout rifle's doing more damage than yours.
Yeah, you're right.
So they'll definitely be upgrades or patches that affect everybody. I especially hope those bounties increase for everybody, and not just those people with the expansion. The bounty
Well,
slots.
they're making room for those new bounties with the Dark Below.
Well, I think they said the bounty slots are something that's not part of the DLC anyways, that it's going to be before it.
Gotcha.
We'll see.
Freaking
Gotcha.
Clueless, our comments section point makes a good point too. That a lot of people there'll be a gap between when the DLC drops on December 9th and when they get it likely as a Christmas present and things like that. So there's going to be a number of weeks where there's going to be a large percentage of people behind because they're either spending all their money on others for Christmas or aren't going to get it until December 25th.
Yeah.
Should have pre-ordered it before launch, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Moving on with the rest of the Iron Banner, the last two things involve reputation. There's going to be a new feature called Tempered, and Lord Saladin will be offering a 12-hour buff called Tempered, which will boost Iron Banner reputation games. This is to help those who maybe have a busier work schedule that week or whatnot and can't get involved until later in the event. As the event goes forward, the boost will become increasingly potent to help those players that are starting later in the week to catch up. And this is an interesting concept that nobody quite understands exactly from the little bit of information they gave us how it's going to work out. We don't know whether you're going to have to purchase this buff in exchange for something, such as marks or motes of light, and how this will actually give those not playing early in the week advantage when everybody else can just buy those buffs at the same time. Whether it'll be based on how much reputation your specific characters gained over the course of the event, how that will affect it, if it will affect it, is still in question. Something that goes along with this, they pointed out, is that your Iron Banner reputation will be carried over to this next incarnation of the Iron Banner, but after that, your reputation will be event-specific and wiped at the end of each event. So you only have the course of the event time to get your maximum level in the Iron Banner.
Interesting.
And they also said that this time it's going up to 5, so that the people that are already at 3 have something to do.
Correct.
I done jacked
And I
up
think
because I
it's
didn't even
gonna be 5
participate.
from that point on.
That's where Tempered will help you. See,
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
the way that it helps the people that haven't been playing is that eventually the people that have been grinding it nonstop are going to hit the level 5 wall, but it's going to be easier for someone that's struggling near the late of the week.
Well, I think that's part of the question, though, is why wouldn't everyone just wait later in the week and get the same amount of reputation and not have to work so intensively for it and play regular PvP for the first half of the week?
Because they still want to probably have fun.
Oh, those special
Yeah.
drops, those legendary drops.
Oh yeah, they're going to have more chances at the legendary drops.
Mhm.
True. Good point, yes.
That's how they balance it out. That's really good. That's really good. I like that. I like that.
Then to finish off the weekly update, I want to mention the Legend of the Week, Bedtime Panda, who he has achieved the accolade of reviving 2,164 other players in PvE.
That's
He's
awesome.
the Legend of the Week.
What a nice guy.
That's awesome. It seems low. It seems low and totally doable. I'm probably at like 60 if I'm lucky. So what is that guy doing? Where does he hang out?
It's his
How bad are
favorite
his
playlist.
Playmates.
Right?
It's his favorite playlist. Skirmish is his favorite.
No, it's in PvE only. That's it. Next week is going to be who revived the most in PvP.
Oh no, shit! So it's gotta be Raid then. So his buddies die a lot.
Right, his buddies die a lot.
Well, I would disagree about the raid thing, because the 30-second time limit would
Yeah.
really slow
Good
things down.
point. So strikes. He's a strike fiend.
Yeah. Definitely not hard mode, because you can't revive people.
Ugh.
Yeah, he probably plays Tiger Strikes a lot.
So the beginning
Alrighty.
of this,
What's that?
I'd say the beginning of this week, we landed update 1.0.2.3, which came with a number of stability fixes and the controversial Atheon patches. Now there's random teleporting and no more cheesing him off the ledge. Has anybody here run the raids since the changes?
Yep.
I have, and it was fun.
Nope.
Little difficult, little frustrating with those people who didn't want to listen to the shout caller, but it was fun.
It
Yeah,
sounds
I'm-
like you have much better experience than a lot of members. A lot of the players have experienced an uptick in glitches involved with the situation. A lot of others talking about how the new system makes many glitches a little bit more glaring and gives them a better chance of wiping your party.
Oh yeah, we
Interesting.
experienced plenty of those, but it was still fun. Well, there were plenty of times where it teleported 2 people instead of 3, or it teleported 4 people, and there was only 1 person that was alive outside. Those were fun instances.
That seems
Right,
crazy.
There's a number of incidences like that, as well as one player gets teleported to Venus, while 2 of them get teleported to Mars. Atheon froze, but forgets to teleport anybody, and you just shoot at him while he's frozen until he progresses like normal eventually. Sometimes he teleports dead bodies. Some users are reporting that they are not receiving the Time's Vengeance buff. They're reporting that that Atheon's able to shoot through the Relic Shield. Supplicants are entering the time portals. Users are getting succumbed to the oracles and wiping even after killing all the oracles in a portal, and sometimes users outside of the portals are being marked by the oracles. And there's a Minotaur in Venus that likes to respawn at full health right when you don't want him to.
Man, that's crazy. Thinking about supplicants going through the portals is like that's a layer that I'm not interested in facing, because that's crazy talk. And actually on Twitter, this guy Ben Morrow said that the better solution to this would have been to change the hard mode only for the randomness. Like, and when I think about that, that makes a lot of sense in how, you know, the first raid, the regular version, they've already said that it was supposed to be about learning, you know, what to do and how to do it, and then the hard mode was, you know, the challenge, and that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot more sense than making it random for both people. You know, you might have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, or, you know, what if everybody gets transported through that portal, and then, like you said, there's 1 person alive outside. Like that seems like it would. I mean, how much time did that add to your call, Warlock? Oh, never mind. He is off. Warlock is off. Oh no, there's Warlock. How much time did that add to your raid, having to deal with all that?
Honestly, it was mostly 1 or 2 people who just weren't listening to what they needed to do, but it added about an hour and a half to the raid for us.
Man, that's horrible. Horrible.
Now, quick question: all these glitches you listed, that was after the patch dropped?
Yes, although many of these things occurred before the patch dropped, people believe, or at least under the impression, that there's been an uptick in them since the patch dropped. Whatever they did to make it randomly pull the players have increased the number of times that many of these are happening. I know I've been on raids where he's only teleported 2 people or something like that. Now, I mean, some of these I haven't heard of before the patch happening, like the thing with the supplicants going through the portals, and it seems to be there's a lot more problems with oracles affecting people that haven't been teleported and such afterward. But really, people feel like the changes have made it so it's highlighted a lot of these glitches. These glitches were able to be dealt with a lot easier before, but now, because of the situation, it's become difficult to overcome some of these glitches.
I think that if they were to try to take care of these glitches first, and then they were to put this new patch in afterwards, those things would have came back.
What?
Or something entirely different, some entirely different glitches, because it's all about coding, man. It's about computer coding and stuff.
I think
You
I see
don't-
what he's saying. I think he means that in the process of them experimenting to correct the problems, they would have brought many of these problems back out. So they're trying to get the encounter corrected before they go in to fix the faulty coding.
Correct. Thank you. You man, you're my own translator. I love you.
I definitely can confirm the glitch with the Actually, I don't know if he said it. Sometimes you'll get detained inside one of the portals. I can confirm that happened before the expansion too.
To you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it was so annoying 'cause the oracles need to go down.
We're
I
talking like
neglected to mention that one. I also didn't mention the fact that the hobgoblins on Mars seem to be immune to the relic slam.
man,
Yeah.
that's
There are also a number of others. I just didn't want to go forever on the list.
Yeah.
alrighty. So that is the end of our show. We still have a million things to talk about as far as Destiny is concerned. So why don't you check us out next week? Same time, same place. Shout outs, reverse order, Agrios and Dendros.
Killatheon.
Jez,
Eris looks nice.
does she?
Yes.
She did
She's
in
gonna
Final
be-
Fantasy VII.
Oh, Aerith was. She's stuck up. Eris though, it's gonna be nice.
Crimson
Totally
Warlock.
nice.
Oh, tonight is TonyQuil because I've been sick for the last couple of days. So
That's
thank you, NyQuil, for letting me sleep at night.
That's a nice plug. River,
Lady of Legend, because we're about to go evolve.
awesome. I signed up for that, and I'm waiting for my my code. Looking forward to what you think about it because
okay.
why not? Video
Mine's all
games.
reloaded.
Mm-hmm. About to hop on that.
And I would like to shout out to Seraph and Jay Havoc and all of the Bungie employees who have now moved on to other parts of their life because of the end project, Bungie letting go people. It's time. The Destiny is out, and it's time for them to move on. So I'd like to shout out to them because they're cool people. Basically, if Bungie has hired you, you're a cool person. Something about you is specific and awesome. So shout out to them. Also, I'd like to thank everybody for listening and tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or comments, please send them to feedback@guardian1.net. And we will get to that. Also, you can leave a question or a comment to the YouTube. I was going to address one of the comments from last week's videos, but I will address that next week. And we will see you then. Have a good week.
See ya.